All right, we are live with the latest installment of the Lewis Central Technology Hangout. As you know, my name is Josh Allen, and I'm the Technology Integration Specialist for Lewis Central Community Schools. And we do this about once a month, where we do a little technology training that is recorded, Hangout on air, so it'll be on YouTube. We'll get you a link for the recording for this one and the other ones at the end of the show. I am super excited to have my good friend Beth still here. Beth, go ahead and introduce yourself, and you get to add for the very first time a brand new title that you have.
Yes,
Breaking news.
I do. I live in western Nebraska. I'm out in Scottsbluff and Gering area, and I work for Gering Public Schools. And I am the Innovative Teaching and Learning Specialist, which is just a very fancy way of saying I'm the Technology Integration Specialist.
Sounds like more words to write. I don't know if I like it.
Yes, but it makes me feel very fancy. Yeah.
And as of 2 weeks ago, you are a
I am a Google certified teacher. I was in the
nice.
GTA ATX, the Austin, Texas cohort. So it feels really good. I've been working to get into that for, probably 4 or 5 years now. So
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. I'm super excited. Yeah, I told Beth that she's not going to be allowed back on here because she's got some way fancy stuff in the presentation that we're going to share. And if you've ever watched any of my other ones, you're going to be sorely disappointed with the other slides that I put together. So I will be stealing ideas from Beth for future presentations. But I had Beth come in. Obviously, being a Google certified teacher, she knows a lot about Google, and so we wanted to talk a little bit about Google Sites. I know my staff uses it quite a bit, being a Google Apps district. I know Beth has worked with her staff on doing it, and so we just wanted to put our heads together and find a few things that our staff is using, and some different ways. Parent communication and student communication can be done a lot of different ways. Google Sites works great if you're a Google Apps district and have all your stuff in the same container already. So we wanted to share some ideas here. If you want to connect with us, as I speed past that page, there is a Q&A feature on the Hangout page if that's where you're watching from. You can use the hashtag LCTechHangout. Remember, there's two H's in the middle of that. And or you can post it as a comment on the Hangout page, and I will try to check on those throughout the show or towards the end. So Beth, tell us a little bit about what is a Google site for people who are somewhat unfamiliar with it.
well, basically, a Google site is just a wiki, and a wiki is a really fancy way of saying it's just a bunch of pages that are web pages that are linked together. We can collaborate on them together. So I can work on something on my end, and Josh, you might be able to work on a different page on your end. Most of the time, you can only have one person working on a page at a time, but it's a great way for teachers to just share out things with their students or to make a workspace for students to work on. And I have a quiz question for you.
Oh no.
This one might be fairly tricky. I don't know. It depends on how much you know. What is the largest wiki in the world?
If we were not doing a Google site presentation, I would throw out the EdCamp wiki space, but I'm going to guess that's wrong.
That is wrong, and I think you're just trying to make me look good. Um,
No, I wish I could say that, Beth.
well, it's too obvious what it is. Wikipedia is,
Oh, dang it. As soon as you said too obvious, I was like, wait.
yeah, because we don't really think of Wikipedia as being a wiki. We think of it as being a website, but really a wiki is a website. So that's it, Wikipedia. Millions and millions of contributors around the world.
Um, so a little bit about why websites, because like Beth said, there's lots of people around the world who are using lots of different places. I mentioned Wikispaces as one that I've used for some other things, but what we really like about Google Sites is like I mentioned, if you're already using Google Apps, which millions of people already are, and thousands of school districts across the nation, it works great for all of your Google Docs, your presentations, your maps, your calendars, all that stuff very easily slides into your web page. You don't have to have a separate account. Everything along the right-hand side in the column, the wiki spaces, the wiki.com, PBWorks, all those others, you already need a different account. Google Sites, you're using your district account. You don't have to create something different. Easy to customize, and as you get more familiar with it, there's a lot more buttons you can push. I actually this year, I've used Google Sites through my Doane classes, teaching for Doane College, but I haven't really dug in a whole lot into pushing different buttons, and so like right now, I spend a little bit more time, just with tweaking colors and backgrounds and stuff like that to make it a little bit more visually pleasing. And e-portfolios, I know that Council Bluffs Public Schools, that's what they use as well, is Google Sites. Is that what you guys are using? Do you guys do e-portfolios out in Gearing?
We do not yet, but a plan for that is in the works, and we will definitely be using Google Sites for that.
Well, and I think it's because, just like you said on the very beginning, if students are creating everything in Google Apps, it makes total sense to have Google Apps or Google Sites as their e-portfolio destination.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything that they do here in Gearing, or at least that they will start doing in the next couple of years, can be shared so easily. I mean, just the one click of a button, and they can import slideshows or pictures or Google Docs or any number of things like that.
Talk a little bit about purposes with Google Sites, Beth.
Oh, the purposes. I mean, we're just limited by our imaginations. I have some different sites I use to curate information. So a lot of the presentations that I do, I like to keep there as kind of part of my CV. So I can reference back to them if I need to. When I was in the classroom, at the beginning of every semester, I would start a new Google site. Every one of my students, I would automatically assign them a page, and that was their workspace. And then sometimes I might add another page, and I would give multiple students access to that. So it would be a place where they could collaborate. It would be a place where I could share out information with students, or so they could share things back, and then I could evaluate their work right from one central location. So when I think of purpose, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking is we can do so many things with them. They're very versatile.
Absolutely. And you have these lists of examples. Talk a little bit about, I guess this kind of goes along with the purpose that you mentioned.
Yeah, and really what we're going to show after the slide is just some screenshots, but I just wanted to kind of share just a couple examples here. I made a digital bootcamp course a few years ago, and I actually had the course, it was all in Moodle, but then I mirrored it on a Google site because our Moodle was upgrading at about the same time the class was going on, and I didn't want to lose access to it. So I just took all the assignments and I mirrored them in a Moodle class or in a Google site, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. But then we had one of the PE teachers that I used to work with. She ran her exercise science class through that. Currently, I work with an English teacher who, all of the teachers at Gearing right now, for the most part, they're just getting their Google Sites up and running. And our English class is one. I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots from her class. But I want to take just a moment, I hope we have time for this, of a crazy coincidence that happened to me just this last week. I have been sharing the elementary classroom website, and all these are linked, by the way, when people want to go back and click on those. But the elementary classroom site was created by a teacher named Katie Christie. She's a teacher in Littleton, Colorado. It's a great example of what an elementary classroom can do with their Google site. And I just noticed, I went back to it a couple days ago when I was preparing for this, and I went through one of her slideshows and realized that the teacher who created it was actually one of my lead instructors or lead learners at Google Teacher Academy last week. I've been using this site for, probably 6 or 8 months as an example, and lo and behold, I'm sitting right next to the woman for 2 days who created it. So that was exciting, very exciting for me.
I can just imagine the light bulb going off of like, wait a minute, I know that name.
Well, that's exactly how it happened. I was sitting there 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm like, Katie Christie. Oh my gosh, that's Katie Christie. And I tweeted her right away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I use your site all the time. Probably like, yeah, okay, whatever. So, but it's that particular site, especially if you're an elementary teacher, I'd urge you to go back to that and click on the communications tab, and you will see how she actually collects assignments from students, and it's fabulous. I mean, just all of the things that she has linked in there. But we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this one, except I just want to say one more thing because I might forget to say it later. One of the things that I really promote doing is creating a template. And if you look under the student created tab at some point, I have a link to an e-portfolio template. And then Kenny's site right below that, he's one of my former students. He actually did a really good job filling in that template. And that might be something that teachers in your district want to do, is make a template and then push that out to students. And I actually have a slide in here about how to do that, because the slides that come with Google, the templates, are not very good. So they're full of extra stuff that you have to go back in and get rid of, and then you've wasted a lot of time that you could have been creating, taking things out. So.
Absolutely. Well, let's run through some of the examples that you have, and I know that I have some here towards the end there.
Okay. This is that digital boot camp, the same one that I had in Moodle, and basically what this is showing, the navigation is on the left-hand side, and I point that out because the next slide actually is going to flip to the top. But this also has hyperlinks on here. There's lots under examples. I hyperlink back to lots of different blogs that are written by different teachers and administrators. And then in the bottom right corner, I have an embedded slideshow. And if you're kind of new to Google Sites, there's a couple different things you can do. You can do what's called link to, like if you wanted to link to a Google slideshow, it might just be a hyperlink, so it would be text that you'd click on and it would take you to that slideshow. Or you can embed media. So I embedded this slideshow, and that just means it lives on my Google site. And if I update that particular slideshow someplace else, my current version is always going to show up on my Google site. So there's lots of times when you might have maybe a syllabus or something that is linked or embedded in multiple locations. The nice thing about things being in the cloud is you only have to update it one time.
That's a great point. I do that with, I mentioned I teach for Doan and use Google Sites there, and I've done that with my syllabus. Just put it there, because I inevitably, like if I change assignments, or I teach an iPad class, so if a new app comes up, or we want to do something differently, I only have to change it one spot on the Google Doc, which I can download and send to Doan if they need it, or it's automatically updated on the web page. And I'm gonna, when I get down to mine, I'm gonna talk about the embedding a little bit too. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay. This particular Google site is maintained by a science teacher up in Minnesota, and I love it. It's very, very well organized. He uses lots of pictures, lots of links. His students find this very easy to use. So that's why I just wanted to show this as just kind of one more example of just organization and what these can look like if we put some work into it. Oh, and this one is same website, and I don't know how much your teachers there use Google Forms, but that's something we're kind of starting to explore here in Gering. And on the right-hand side of this is a Google form that has been embedded. So all he would need to do for his students to fill this out is direct them to the classroom activities page, and they would fill out their form, click submit, and he would have all that information on the back inside in a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah, we don't embed it very much, but we definitely use Google Forms quite a bit. So that was a good example to share there.
This particular site was created by one of our English teachers at the high school, English and speech teachers in journalism, and it was created using the template that I put together. You can see it has the lovely gold and blue around it for Gary. My
All
design
right.
skills leave something to be desired, that's for sure. But um, it's you mentioned kind of tweaking the colors and adding things like that, and I had really it was a challenge to me to make that template, but I told teachers if they want to change it, they are on their own. I'm not going to help them change it back because there's a lot when you go to change one thing. If you don't change the background color or something, your text may not show up. There's a lot to change. There's probably 30 or 40 different things you have to tweak if you want to totally kind of deck out your website.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you can go and spend quite a few days on.
Yeah. So I would recommend if people are going to tweak their website at all, that they maybe want to make a copy of it first
That's a good
and
idea.
have it kind of be like their sandbox copy. Are you getting feedback on your end?
Nope. Are you?
I could hear me bouncing. I'm just going to turn my volume down, then I think I'll be okay.
So this is the one that's up there now is an example from Lewis Central here. This is the Family and Consumer Science classes. They are amazing. They do not hand any paper out. Everything is there. We are one-to-one with Chromebooks. So everything is here. The students know every day that this is where they go get it. And Beth mentioned sharing the workload a little bit and having someone else edit. We do have two teachers. Mr. Carper does more of the foods, and Miss Cluster, Miss K. Now I can't even think of how to say her last name. Hopefully she's not watching. Does the parenting and the clothing, the housing piece. So, but they share one site that parents and students can go get everything from. And it's just a really great example of tag teaming some of that work. You mentioned embedding. One of the things that we have at our high school is all teachers are required to do a web presence, and that is a very loose term that teachers can do a lot of different things, and a lot of them started out with just the Google Slides. If that was where their comfort level was, then that's where they started, and they put a daily agenda there and links and what have you. And now I've seen more and more of them, they need to have a website because they have different links that they want kids to go, and they need those links there all the time. And so we've been doing some more of the embedding, like you mentioned, which we're going to show you here in just a second. So they're still updating, like Beth said, they're still updating their slides every day, and that's what shows up on the Google slide or on the Google site without them having to do any extra work. So this is a math class. She's actually been doing a lot of flipped classroom too, but you can see she has 4 different preps listed here, and those Google sites or Google Slides are updated automatically as soon as she does it every day. So students have the one place to go.
And I just wanted to point out to you, a lot of times teachers think, they hear the word website. Oh, you need to maintain a website. And they think it's going to be so much work, but really, it's no more work than they're already doing. In fact, sometimes I think it's less work because I'll see teachers write their assignments on the board and then erase them for the next class and then have to rewrite them because then they have a different prep. And they're constantly erasing and rewriting. And if they would just type it once on the slide and project it when that class is coming into the room, it achieves the same thing and a lot less work on their end. And then they don't have to explain the assignment necessarily. It takes as long to explain the assignment. If they have students who are gone, they can just say, you know what, check the slide from yesterday or whatever day they were gone. And then they can clarify if they need to, but the student is getting the same information that all the rest of the students received when they were in class.
Yep, and we're seeing it now. We actually do trimesters, and so teachers that teach the same class trimester 1 and then trimester 2, they're not having to spend as much time updating because they already did it for trimester 1, or it's the same as what it was last year, and there's just minor tweaks that they need to make to it. So, absolutely. This is a brand new one, and when you talk about totally redesigning stuff, our Titan band director Andy Walters has definitely spent quite a bit of time He had a website before and just was really disappointed in how it was looking, and so we spent quite a bit of time prior to the year of him getting everything organized. I've seen that carry over now. The vocal music director has called me and said, "Hey, we need to spruce up the Google site a little bit," and so I've been working with him to do kind of the same thing. And so again, these are just examples of different ways. In this case, his is more about information from parents and calendars and syllabus and that type of stuff. So a little bit more than just the class information.
And I love how it showcases the students. To me, that's really important.
Yeah.
Parents are going to love that. Students are going to love to get on there and see themselves. And it doesn't take that much time to put something like this together. Even though it looks really, really good, it doesn't take a lot of time to do that.
Absolutely. Beth, talk a little bit about inserting items to slides.
Oh, this is what I love about Google. First of all, what you're looking at is kind of a new little thing that I learned last week. It's how to import a GIF into a slideshow. So it's basically just a bunch of animated pictures all together instead of a little video. But basically, to insert different types of media, when you click on the insert button, you have the option to put in all sorts of things. You can put in pictures, you can put in YouTube videos really quickly. All you need is the link to it. You can put in different gadgets. So one of the things that I kind of like to tinker around with is adding a Twitter gadget that follows our Gearing Bulldogs hashtag. So I haven't had the best of luck with making that work, but if I played with it for a while, I can usually get it to work. But you can put in picture albums. So I have my photos that I take with my my Galaxy phone. I have those backed up to I have them so they automatically synchronize with my Google Plus account. And then all I have to do is go in and pull pictures into an album, and I can actually embed that album with just a couple of clicks. And it's really easy. It takes a lot of the work that I used to have to do with rounding up pictures and putting in a folder and then trying to find all the pictures. It takes all that legwork out of it, and it's just instantly there. You can insert any type of Google document if you want. So if your syllabus is on a document, you can embed that. You can embed slideshows, you can embed drawings. There's all sorts of things that you can embed. And my favorite really is the calendar. And I would just advise, and you've probably been using Google Docs long enough to know this, I always recommend to people make at least one secondary calendar. Don't link to your personal calendar, or you're going to have things like your doctor appointment showing up for the whole world to see. That's happened a couple times here. So I always just make, like when I was in the classroom, I would make one for my face-to-face classes and one for my online classes, and I would just embed those in the right Google site. And then my students, if they wanted to, they could subscribe to the calendar. So, but lots and lots of things that you can do.
I switched over. That was our next slide is adding a calendar in, and I agree wholeheartedly. We have a calendar for district events. I showed you our band site. We've done that with band and vocal music because obviously that calendar is pretty crazy with all the events that they're doing and places they're going. And again, if you direct your parents to the calendar, the one that is easily updated from your phone. Again, I like the tip about the secondary calendar. It's just as easy to put one in. And again, because everything is Google, it talks well to each other. It's going to format very well together. There are some settings there that you can change as far as like what it looks like, whether it's in list view or like in a week or a month view, depending on how many items you have. But again, super simple to add in, and then easily to. You don't have to go back to Google Sites to update your calendar. You can do it just from the Google Calendar. YouTube videos. You kind of hinted at this a little bit earlier. Talk a little bit about adding a YouTube video.
Basically what you do, I try to encourage my teachers here to make as many YouTube videos as they can. You know, record the students doing something. A physics teacher this year is fabulous. She's had the students doing a lot of hands-on measuring type activities where they measure distance of things, and they've some of the students have recorded their labs. They upload them straight to YouTube from their phone. They go in, they grab the link, and then you could come back and just all you do is go to Insert, YouTube, and that's on the bottom right corner, I believe, when that box comes up, and you just paste the link in the box and click Save. It's that easy. I mean, it takes seconds to get a video. As long as you have the link to it, that's all you need.
And I agree. One of the things, and hopefully YouTube's unblocked in your districts, because it's so simple and works great with all different types of devices. So, you know, even though our kids do have Chromebooks, sometimes they want to watch it on their phone or watch it on their iPad. And so as we've been doing more of the flipped classroom model of instruction, I've definitely been directing teachers to use either apps or services that let you publish quickly to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And again, it's the same. You can use your district account, so you don't have to create a new account that you're going to have to remember for later.
Yeah, and our philosophy here is, you know, kids are going to make mistakes. They might upload something that isn't quite appropriate, but then we have that conversation when it happens.
And hopefully they're doing it on their district account.
Yeah, because then, you know, we know, and then we can say, well, this isn't really an appropriate thing for you to do, and we can have that conversation. And it's just part of the digital literacy and the digital citizenship. It's just we need to know, students need to know what's inappropriate and what's right, and sometimes they don't realize that something they're doing is wrong. So it lets us kind of add one more layer to that teaching component.
Absolutely. One of my favorite features is adding a horizontal navigation. When Google Sites came out however many years ago, basically your only option for navigation was to have a sidebar along the left-hand side. Definitely a lot of people still use that, which is great, but I really like the buttons across the top. And so in the GIF you can see that when you go to the menu or the settings button and go down to edit site layout, you have the option of adding in a horizontal navigation bar. You can take out the sidebar along the side. What's really nice is it's not in the video here, but when you click on it, you can add any page that you have. You can add links to outside resources. There are arrows when you go to add a page to kind of nest other links underneath the main one so that it becomes a drop-down menu. And it's super simple to do. With other websites that I've used in the past, it's just such a pain to add in navigation. You know, and even with the sidebar, you can make it so that it automatically does it, but you can definitely go in and adjust it yourself. So navigation, or switching the navigation to horizontal layout is a nice way to make your website look a little bit different without a lot of work.
Yeah, and there are some of our teachers teach 5 or 6 preps, and their sidebar was getting so long that when I originally made the template, I made it as a sidebar, and I had so many requests to make it into the horizontal bar that I actually went back and just changed the whole template and got rid of the original, because it looks more professional, and you know, especially when you hover over one of the tabs and you have the nice menu that drops down, it looks really nice.
Yep, I would agree. Talk a little bit about templates. This is not something that I know very much about, so I'm excited to do some learning here too.
Okay, basically, when I make a template, I start with just I think the default is called Ski for the, I don't know what you want to call it.
The Google site basic one, I think you're right.
Yeah, their theme, just their general theme. And it's white. There's not a whole lot of lines on it. It's just very basic. And then I go in and I decide, like for my high school teachers, I knew that they needed a page for their calendar, lesson plans, student projects, things like that. So I went in and I created all of those pages. I got them in the order that I thought was logical. And I put in the background colors that you see right there. I put in our logo. I made the title. And then all I did was, I'm reading through my directions here because I have to, I don't make the templates too often. But basically, if you go into the menu and go to more actions, and if you scroll down that page a little bit, there's a button that says publish the site as a template. And when you do that inside of a educational domain, when students or whoever, faculty maybe, they go in to make a new Google site, they have the ability then to search through the templates that have been created, not just necessarily the Google templates that are there, which, like I said before, just they're horrible to try to figure out what to do with them once you make one from a template. But they could select it. So I called mine like elementary school template and high school teacher template or something like that. And that was it. They click on the template. They say, use this to make a new site, and they click create, and it creates it for them. I mean, it's really, really simple to make a template and then to use a template to build a site from.
We've actually talked about we're already talking about summer school this summer because it is getting colder, so let's start talking about summer. But even doing a template for them as a way for those teachers to create quick websites that parents can use to access different information or see what's coming up. So yeah, we're kind of excited about that.
But like I said, it doesn't take long to put the site together. It's just a matter of, what colors do you want? Do you want them to all look the same? That type stuff. The design side of things, which maybe I'm more concerned about than I should be.
Understandable. Talk a little bit about these are resources that you had shared. So talk a little bit about these three as we begin to wrap up today.
Okay. These three links on here are just some, they're hyperlinked to some different resources that you might find interesting or useful. They just basically go through a lot of the things that we've already talked about, but it's just kind of some more things that you might want to look into, dive into a little bit deeper. And the third bullet, this Google Guru Tips and Tricks. This is a newsletter that I get. I don't know, it seems like it's 3 or 4 times a week I get one. But if you're kind of googly like I am, you'll really like that newsletter.
They have a great YouTube channel that I subscribe to as well, with, like you said, some great tips, and not every day, which is kind of nice. It's not going to flood your inbox, but some quality stuff. Last one. This is one of my favorite that Beth kind of snuck in at the end. GOO.gl is a great way to do a short URL, QR code as well. You can do both. I actually use, I don't know, we didn't talk a lot about this ahead of time. I use the Chrome extension quite a bit. One thing I found, and I can't remember if I mentioned this in a past Google Hangout or what it was, but if you use the extension more than one time on the same website, it makes a new link. So you have to be aware if you've done that. You may need, it does track the number of clicks. You may need to make sure that you add some together if you've accidentally done that more than one time. Sometimes I forget that I was smart at one point and already made that short URL. I don't think to go back and get it again.
But one of the things that I like about this, I know people like Bitly, bit.ly, because you can customize what it's called. So it might be bit.ly.com/Bethstill or whatever. But I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think Bitly makes the QR code for you.
They do not.
Okay, I didn't think they did, but what I like is, as long as I'm signed into Google and I make the QR code, I can go back, or make the short link, I can go back in and check and see how many hits that particular link has had. I don't really do a lot with the QR code, but it is nice if you're doing a presentation or for your students to put that up on the board and they can scan it. Because the question when a student walks in, what are we doing today? Well, scan the QR code and find out. There are different ways that we can use them, but that's really what I like it for.
I'll use GOO.gl, especially if I'm sending a link out to via email. even if it, I don't necessarily want to hyperlink it, but I don't want it to be 100 characters long, so I
Hmm.
can just drop that in there. I do use Bitly quite a bit, but more so if I'm working with younger kids, because goo.gl is case sensitive, and so I can customize it a little bit. We've been doing quite a bit with Hour of Code, and so, after day one, I realized that they were not going to be able to get to our Symbaloo page as second, third, fourth, and fifth graders by typing in all those letters. So I can make a short Bitly link so that if they're on the iPad, we don't have to deal with, um, just the odd keyboard or, that type of thing. But goo.gl is definitely handy for, again, having the same account. You just have to understand that it is case sensitive. Um, but I do like it. So that is the end. Oh my! Speaking of Bitly, uh, I adjusted the size apparently, and the link is a little different. So thanks for joining us. We are at the end of our time for today. If you would like more information or to check out the recording, you can visit bit.ly/Josh at LC. See how I customize that? Obviously. Um, Not sure why that URL is split on two lines, but hopefully you'll be able to figure that out. The next LC Tech Hangout will be January 13th. Uh, I'm not sure if that date's correct now that I think about it. I'll get back to you on when the next one is. But we are going to be talking about social media in the classroom. I want to say without looking that it has been moved up a week due to some other conflicts. So, but January we're going to kick off social media in the classroom. Beth, thank you for all of your resources and knowledge. I really appreciate you joining me.
Well, thank you, and I'm definitely going to steal this and share it with my teachers.
All right, thank you very much.